So the idea behind this video is pretty simple. Today we've got 7 popular fragrances that are just really easy to hate on. However, I actually like them a lot. And you see this becoming more and more of a common thing, a lot to do with new releases, because a lot of new releases do tend to piggyback off of each other, piggyback off of other popular trends and that sort of thing. And so it's easy to automatically just write them off right out of the gate without actually fully testing them first. Or maybe in some instances, you really just don't like them because they do kind of have a modern thing going on. And something I've talked about a lot on the channel is a lot of the fragrances that are different or unique don't go over that well. People will hate on them. Take a look at something like Gucci Guilty Absolute, which is now discontinued because it was something different that people didn't like. Moschino Toy Boy, kind of a men's floral, very unique. It's something different like everyone wants, but people still don't like it. At the end of the day, these kind of popular and generic smelly fragrances are the ones that end up doing the best, even when the majority of the fragrance community hates them. So that's what these brands are going to keep putting out. Today we've got 7 here, all designers of course, and you know, it's easy to hate on these right out of the gate. I understand that, and you can go back and look at the first impressions on at least a couple of these that I've done here, and maybe with a couple, I didn't really like them all that much either at first. It wasn't until I spent some more time with them. So I encourage you to do the same. You know, these are easy to hate on, they're easy to make fun of and point your finger at and say, oh, this is the crap that they're putting out. But I actually like them a lot, and I encourage you to at least give them a chance if you are testing them out. I will link these down below to discounters so you can pick them up at a price below retail. For the most part here, all of these you should be able to get at a discounted price. And I think we should just run through this one pretty quickly here. We're going to start off with Gucci Guilty Black. So this, I believe, will be the oldest fragrance in this video. You know this one, and I think everyone does. Lavender, green notes, and orange blossom are just a few of the main notes. It's quite contradictory. Gucci Guilty Black, you know, the name would almost imply something that's going to be rich and strong, maybe sweet, maybe daring perhaps. And even when you look at the bottle, you know, it has a darker coloration to it, kind of a green tint up top, black on the bottom. The smell does not match up with the naming convention and the design of the bottle at all. However, the smell is really, really pleasant. Very fresh, like super fresh. Bright, effervescent, kind of fruity in a way. I mean, this right here is the definition of a mass-pleasing, wearable, compliment-getting designer fragrance. Gucci, a lot of times, will branch out and do things that are different. Hence, Gucci Guilty Absolute in the same line that is being discontinued. They do push the envelope from now and then, but this is one that definitely rides the wave of just being as likable as possible. Their goal with this one, I think, was to get this in as many people's hands as possible, get it on as many bathroom shelves as possible, because that's where the general public stores their fragrances, which is not a good idea, by the way. And I think they definitely succeeded with that goal there, if that was their goal. It's very popular stuff, easy to point at and say it sucks, but the quality on this one is very good. The performance is great. It's a great mass pleaser, and it's one that I just enjoy. I like the smell of it. It's uplifting. It kind of puts me in a good mood. This next one is a Carolina Herrera fragrance, which lately they've been putting out some things that are maybe a little bit polarizing for sure. And they've definitely focused their attention away from some of their best sellers that were actually, I don't know, kind of pleasing the community. And I'm talking like CH Men and CH Men Privé. They completely did away with that. I mean, they still have CH Men, but they didn't do any flankers or anything like that. They discontinued CH Men Privé, and now they're focusing on this line, the Bad Boy line. And this one here is Bad Boy Le Parfum. It's easy to hate on this one because a lot of people hate on the original, and so they think that everything released after the original is going to suck as well. And, you know, I'll just be straight up. When this one was announced, when this one was launched and it came out, I was not really sure what we were going to be getting here. But I have to say, I thoroughly enjoy this one. It's got black pepper, has vetiver, it's got cannabis, it's herbal, it's aromatic, it's green, but with this leathery undertone as well. The leather mixing with the vetiver and black pepper gives it this kind of rugged masculine spiciness. The cannabis note is not too over the top or too daring. It's kind of just giving off an herbaceousness, aromatic type of smell. The whole composition on this one is impressive from opening to dry down. It's one that shocked me, and this is one, I believe, if you watch my first impressions, I was on board with it right off the bat, but it would be easy to not be on board right off the bat, especially when you take a look at the bottle, when you take a look at the first Bad Boy release. A lot of people don't like it. People outside the community do, but inside the community, this line would be very easy to make fun of, but I'd encourage you to potentially give this one a shot. This Bad Boy Le Parfum, it brings a lot more to the table than you may expect. The quality is even very nice. It's a nice wearing experience. It's not a true parfum. It is an eau de parfum, but it still is a good performer. And all things considered, it's an impressive release. Next up, we have a release new as of last year. So 2021, kind of mid to, is actually the end of 2021, because I remember this one being timed not really the best for the US market. It came out earlier overseas, of course, like always. So it's Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. So you can see what I'm talking about there. Was released in fall, close to winter, I believe, something like that. And a fragrance with this coloration and the name Ocean being pushed to the US market that time of year, you know, is kind of comical. And I think that also encouraged some people to kind of point at this one and laugh at it. And if you watch my first impressions, I was a little bit iffy on it. I was like, I don't know about this. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I knew it was something that was familiar. I knew it was something that wasn't necessarily blowing me away right away. And so I was just kind of indifferent. But then I started testing it more. I got a full wearing on my skin for the first time, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to come around to it. Multiple wearings afterwards, testing it more. I would be in here and I would just grab it and spray it on up in the air and just smell it and be like, I think that smells great. And here we are today, where I could stand behind this one and say that for me personally, I like it a lot, even though it would be super easy to write this one off, because it's literally the definition of a blue fragrance, at least on paper. This one's got notes of lavender, iris, bergamot, musk. I believe there's a rosemary, so a little bit of an herbaceousness. The iris gives off a little bit of a creaminess. Kind of has this ambroxany tinge to it as well, kind of giving off this blue fragrance smell, but it's really not that blue fragrance heavy. And while it does smell familiar, to me, it doesn't necessarily smell like any one other thing. And if you look online, the reviews are not really pretty, at least fragrance community-wise. I would say retail market, average consumer, I would say the reviews are probably pretty good, but people are rough on this one. And they say it's generic. They say it's a canned, cookie cutter fragrance release. And they say it smells like everything else. And while it does smell familiar, it doesn't necessarily smell like any one other thing either. I mean, currently the most voted thing that it smells similar to on Fragrantica is Versace Dylan Blue. The votes are way skewed in favor of not smelling like Dylan Blue, which I agree with. I really don't think it smells like Dylan Blue all that much. So when you look, it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, this smells like every blue fragrance. A lot of people disagree. I think part of that is just the hate that is easy. It's an easy target. And while I was a little bit judgy on it at first, after wearing it more, I've come to realize that I enjoy it. There's something, especially about the opening, kind of fruity and bright. It's another one that's just a feel-good fragrance. Puts me in a great mood, gets me ready for summertime. Obviously, haven't had a chance to wear this one in summer yet. It was released in fall, going on winter of last year. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited to start breaking it out once the weather warms up here, because that's very, very pleasant. Vibrant, it's rich, it has dimension, it's not, flat and boring. There's more going on in here. I like the take on the iris note in this one. And all around, while it is an easy target, it's not bad. And I think once discounters are able to pick it up and stock it consistently, people will come around to it when they can get it for a better price. So we're kind of moving from a blue fragrance somewhat into an actual blue fragrance here. While Ocean does kind of give off those blue fragrance vibes, to call it a straight up blue fragrance, maybe a little bit of a stretch on that term, but this next one definitely is a blue fragrance all the way through. It's BVLGARI AQUA ATLANTIQUE, so kind of piggybacking off of that one there, kind of being somewhat similar in similar camps anyway. Atlantique has bergamot, ambroxan, and sea notes, While the note breakdown doesn't sound, super exciting, the fragrance itself is. And this is another one where it's a blue fragrance, you don't need it, it sucks, right? And I disagree. This is one of the most affordable blue fragrances, $40, 100 ml on average, and also on my skin and in my collection, one of the strongest blue fragrances that I have. Blue fragrance, and on top of that, aquatic. That is very rare to have an aquatic fragrance, especially at this price, to last as long as this one does and just perform as good as this one does. I mean, it is a monster of a scent. In summertime, this will just about demolish every other fragrance out there that people around you are going to be wearing. I mean, this one will give SAUVAGE a run for its money, and SAUVAGE is more than double the price. I mean, that's just crazy to think about. What I like about this one is, it has that blue fragrance DNA, but with an aquatic smell, a true aquatic smell, nothing that is toned back and very stripped back. Like the aquatic notes in here are kind of derived from the BVLGARI AQUA DNA, the original, and even marine. So it's more photorealistic. You get this seaweed note, you get these richer notes in here. The opening on this one is so crisp and so vibrant, and it makes me feel kind of the same way as something like Ocean does, where just that mixture of notes comes together and it just feels like summertime fun. One of my favorite blue fragrances, has been for a long time and probably always will be. Have multiple bottles of this one on hand, ready to go at all times. I tend to try to avoid spraying it, smelling it too much throughout winter time, so that way I can really kind of save up for it, and as soon as summertime comes around, you get that initial blast after taking some time off. So I'm excited to wear this one for the first time as soon as we get into summer. Next up, we have Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme Le Parfum. So this one is pretty easy to kind of rag on, and I know that because a lot of people do, and I also did a little bit. I've told this story before. I'll just run through it very quick. I basically ordered this one from overseas when it first came out. It wasn't available here in the US yet. New release, ordered it overseas. I had ordered a bunch of other stuff. It was all together. It was like an $800 fragrance order of all new releases and some other stuff that I was getting as well. That whole thing got lost. Never got the package. It wasn't a scam. It wasn't the website's fault. That's just kind of the price you pay for, buying overseas, or I guess the risk you take when making purchases like that. The package got lost. I got my money back, refund, whatever. But the point is, I never got to get on that initial hype train of L'Homme Le Parfum. A lot of people got theirs in, probably when it came to the US market, got their reviews out, first impressions. I never did. I was kind of over it at that point, and after seeing some of the other reviews and things going on, I just put it off. I was like, it doesn't sound like it's going to be that good anyway. So for the longest time, I put it off. It wasn't until I was getting everything together for a buying guide video on the entire L'Homme line, which you can check out on the channel. I'm finally like, all right, I got to pull the trigger. And when I got it in and I was testing for that video, I'm like, you know what? I hate to say it, but I think I've been missing out. Amberwood, geranium, ozonic notes, citrus, a little bit of a fruitiness going on as well. Kind of minty green from the geranium in here. A lot of amberwood giving off that kind of blue smell a little bit, but it's kind of a different take on a blue fragrance. It's almost like YSL EDP. It leans in that direction. But what I like is you also get hints of the original L'Homme DNA in here. And it is a L'Homme flanker after all. You don't always get that within the line, but you do with this one, and that's what I love about it. It's almost like it's taking that classic masterpiece of the original L'Homme and modernizing it, putting in some of that new amberwood DNA in here, just kind of making it more appealing to the younger generation out there. That's what this one does. It modernizes L'Homme, and it still strays away from L'Homme a good amount, ties back to it a little bit, but so for me, it's one that I love. I enjoy it a lot. I wear it a lot. And I also feature it in a good amount of videos. You can go back and look after I finally was able to test it. I'm like, I like it. So I stand behind it. I think it's great. While it's easy to look at the bottle, seeing that it has a blue tint and write it off, it is great. Now, one thing that it does have going for it is it's called Le Parfum. So maybe some people will think it's a richer version and they'll go for it that way, and then they'll be met with kind of a YSL fragrance, and maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. Point is, for me, I think it's great. And last fragrance for this video, we have a fragrance from Diesel, and just kind of the whole brand is very easy to kind of just laugh at. Diesel fragrances, people usually don't get up in arms about them, and I really don't either. There are a couple that I do really like. Diesel Fuel for Life, believe it or not, is one that I love the smell of. and that one's very popular, but it's surprisingly very unique and impressive. Well done stuff. I wish they would have, I know they did flankers, but I wish they really would have focused on that DNA more and really hammered it home, because I think they could have done so much more with it. And a lot of the flankers too are discontinued now. This is not a Diesel Feel for Life. This is Diesel Bad Intense. There's only two of these, the original and the Intense. This one has white tobacco, woods, nutmeg, and caviar, which is always kind of a wild card. This smells great. It's warm, spicy, a little bit floral. Oh, it smells awesome. I love that smell. The opening is crisp. It's kind of bright and sparkly, but still sweet and warm. It's spicy and rich. It's one that grabs your attention right off the first spray. It smells amazing, even in the air still. It just has a nice kind of appeal to it, nice little ring to it that you may not expect coming from the brand. And of course, I've talked about this a few times. The name, it's the worst they could have done here. Diesel Bad. That's another thing that people can just, look at this and say, oh, they named it bad, it must be terrible. Jokes and memes and everything can be created about this one, and probably already have. Not a good call on their end, especially when they don't already have the best reputation for fragrances. But I have to say that they really hit the nail on the head here. And I do think that if this was released under a different designer brand, I don't think it's quite to the level of, Dior or Chanel or Armani. But if it was released under, I don't know, Dolce & Gabbana or BVLGARI, I think a lot of people would actually pick this one up and like it. But because it has that Diesel branding behind it, and of course Diesel Bad, people just laugh at it. But I encourage you, if you want something a little bit different, nice fall and springtime transitional season scent that is kind of playful, check out Diesel Bad Intense. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. That is 7 popular designer fragrances that are very easy to hate on, but I actually really like them. I will link these down below. Give them a shot. They are worth it. They deserve some love too. I know like the Gucci at the very beginning has already gotten a ton of love. To be fair, AQUA ATLANTIQUE has as well. But some of the others here are a little bit newer, and they're still kind of flying under the radar and just getting laughed at. Stick up for these guys, because these all are really, really solid. And who knows, if you end up liking these, support them, because there may be a couple of these that would end up getting discontinued if they don't end up really getting some attention. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.